What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God. Welcome to Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman. So excited to welcome Kasi Beaney to the show today. Kasi's a podcast host, a career coach, and she is just such an honor to have here on the show. So Kasi, welcome to Redefining Possible.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dive in together and all the good stuff. So
it's going to be so good. We have so much to talk about. But before we get into all of that, for folks that don't know you, maybe haven't worked with you in the past, can you give a little background on just what you've done that's led you to here? And then obviously this podcast that is going to be amazing. That's really going to be the focus of our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had, the pleasure and, the luck and fortune of having an incredible career for over 25 years in medical sales, which I'm still involved in and love and appreciate. But what I've seen over the last couple of years of the pressure that's around young adults in regards to their careers, it honestly is just kind of shooken me to my core. I feel like there's incredible pressure without giving them the right support and the right tools to be introspective and kind of figure out the why before they have their whole plan in place. So I have two teenagers myself, and so a lot of teenagers that I love. And watching them under the pressure, I feel like by age 14, for some reason, they're expected to know, that they take all the AP classes, even if they don't enjoy the subject, pushing themselves to new levels and knowing, I want to pursue, this type of career. So by 16, I'm, planning out the colleges and I'm planning out, what that future looks like, but it's from a pressure point of view.
Wow.
And so I thought, well, what if we could do things a little bit differently? And so I'm trying to take the approach now of coming alongside kids and their parents. And I'm doing some coaching.
Love that.
It's been great. I love it because I want to remind them that their value and their worth, first and foremost, doesn't come from anything that's going to be on a resume, that's going to come from a score they get on any standardized test, or even a degree in their hand. That it's really about, let's take a step back and find out who they are, what excites them, and then let's let that lead them. And giving the parents as well, permission to step back and go, they don't have to be controlling it all. That they can find ways to trust their kids in the process. And, in the meantime, they'll have a better relationship. So that's the coaching that I get to do a little bit of. And then the other is a podcast. And the idea behind the podcast was, I wished when I was younger that I had something I could tap into to say, well, I would love to know what a neurosurgeon does, or I'd love to know, I don't know, there's a million careers, but you never know exactly what it is behind the title. So I thought, well, let's dive in then. So we interview people from all different types of careers, and it's a look behind the title and kind of the journey and the story. And my hope is that people can start to relate to that and go, I see myself in that person, or my kid, they like those type of things. It's also about the pivots and ways that, God sometimes takes us on a different journey.
All the time.
And kind of telling their story and hopefully inspiring others. So
I love that. Well, and I love just your heart for young adults, young people and their parents, obviously having young adults, in your home or becoming young adults in your home. And, I know for me, I just was so excited to have you on the show because I'm thinking back to when I was in college and we had college counselors in high school, you had that, but I came into college with the pressure of I have to have a major declared, which is not true. And then I ended up changing my major 7 times.
Good.
Oh, a lot. It was a lot.
Good. You figured it out.
My parents did not say good.
Timeline.
There was no good that came from my parents' mouths. But it's true. I mean, I changed it 7 times because I wanted to do everything. And, it wasn't even related things. It was like international relations. And then it was like, I'm going to go pre-med. And I'm not. So it's, I think that is just taking that. There was so much pressure, to your point. There was so much pressure. And I remember feeling that and being like, am I going to figure this out? Am I going to, I got to a point where I remember calling my parents. I think I was on the phone with my mom, and I said, I was a junior, and I was like, I think I'm just going to take a gap year. Like, I'm not really sure what I want to do. And my mom was like, talk to your father. Like she was done. And it's so funny now because it's like, no, this is, you know, the Lord knew.
Yeah.
I ended up being a communications major and getting to use that in business. It actually was completely the Lord, but it just, you know, that's, I think about so many students that I know that are in college and that I even work with here in LA that struggle with that.
Yeah.
And there is a false pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, for you, just how did that come about that you came into that where you were like, this is an area of need? I mean, this is something that needs to be helped.
I kind of talk about a couple of pain points, one being my own, because I remember being 17, starting college and thinking everybody else has it all figured out. I don't know what I'm supposed to pursue, but I've got to pick. And luckily, I felt like I had a little bit of time to do some exposure and kind of, you know, try a few classes out and kind of, you know, see where I felt led. But even, you know, after getting my degree in psychology, which made sense, I love human behavior, and that has shown up in my life in lots of different ways.
Oh, yeah.
But I graduated and I'm like, what now?
Now what?
Yeah, what's the next plan? And again, thinking, I have to have my 50-year plan figured out. And it becomes paralyzing almost for a lot of kids where they're afraid to take that first step.
Yeah.
And so I will often say, you don't have to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. You just have to know what you want your next step to be and the next step, and you can pivot. So that was one of the pain points. And then the second was what I had mentioned before, just watching kids in the struggle. And then where the conflict would start to arise in homes where it's like, you know, we're all trying to work towards this, I don't know. I think it's just too much. It's too much. The pressure of performing takes away from who are you? Like, what are the things that you love? What lights you up? What did you get lost in when you were a child, like playing with? What classes and courses and, you know, projects have you fell in love with over the years? That's like a missing piece.
Yeah.
So I just want it to become more of a, I don't know, a conversation between kids, and maybe it's their parents, maybe it's, you know, college counselors. It needs to be more of a conversation, and they need to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Well, and because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So for me, I remember, and I think a lot of students, even now, I mean, the world is changing so fast. There's jobs that didn't even exist, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, that are now there. And so how are students and families, you know, parents supposed to be educated on even what is a potential career path when all you know is what was available when you were in school?
Yeah.
And so there's things, you know, I was thinking, okay, I'd be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a nurse, like that I'd be somewhere in that range, but I also loved languages. And so, you know, I took French and Russian and minored in Russian in college, and I knew I was going to do that. Yeah. But then it was like, I think I'm going to go do international relations. And then it was like, no, I'm not going to get into politics. I'm not going to go do that. But you don't know. I'd never tried any of those routes.
Yes. And
I think for, you know, every family is just kind of looking at it, and parents just, they want their kids to have stability. They want their kids to have, and so it's coming from this loving place of, we want you to have stability. But I think also just society in general is facing this, we're placing this pressure on students. You know, 14 is not, you don't even know who you are at 14. How are you going to know what you want to do with your life or a career? And I love your point of saying, just take the next step. That is honestly one of my guiding principles with the Lord, of just, I don't need to know the whole vision. I don't need to know the whole path. I just need to know my next step. So I love that you said that, because that is really, that's all we can handle, is just what's the next step for now. So in this whole journey, because you've done incredible work with, you know, parents and teens and young adults, and now leading into this podcast to show what are some of the different career paths, what are the different opportunities that are out there, how your life can change. And it's a journey the whole time. It's not that you take your first job and that's the job.
No.
We got to break that. We got to break that.
Got to break that.
Yes. That is.
Nor it's like, why would you want that? I mean, I think we're all evolving as people. The world's evolving, so evolve with it. So yeah, we've got to put that idea first aside. But
because that is a thing, that isn't a subconscious thing that I think a lot of people carry with them as young adults of, oh, okay, the job, my first job out of school is going to be the job.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, most of the time it's not.
No.
and to your point, why would you want it to be?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you want to grow and change and actually get better, do more things, have more opportunities? I mean, there are some people who can run businesses.
Yes.
At 20, I have had one of them on the podcast, and it's amazing. And he has incredible family support in that. But I could not run a business.
Yeah.
At 20.
And I think even within the same industry, you'll find, like a certain industry, you'll find your space. So you might start in a certain job, but then it's like, if you're staying really curious, the people around you and saying, okay, what does that person do?
Yes.
Okay, wait, what do you like about that? What don't you like about that? How does that fit with who I am? But if we don't do that first step of them knowing how to ask the right questions, of to be introspective, know themselves well, what motivates them? What excites them? Do they like to work in a group, independently? Are they creative? Are they more of an intellect? And putting all those things together. What's amazing is, yes, our world is changing. And I get questions a lot. And there's a lot of fear around that. But there's a couple of things that I want to make sure people know that don't, first of all, and we talk about this from a God point of view, of course, but that the fear can't be the thing that's controlling you.
No, for sure. No.
That's never going to be the right motivator. Curiosity is a great motivator, but not fear. So get curious, like, hey, how is the world changing? And when I read a lot of articles about what are the characteristics and attributes that young people are going to need, because we don't know what in 5-10 years what some of these jobs are going to look like. It's a couple of things. One is emotional intelligence.
That's a big one.
That's huge. And then being able to work collaboratively.
Also huge. Ooh.
Yes. Yeah. And then learn quickly. I feel like those three things can be applied to any job. But if you have if you have those skills, you're going to be okay.
And those, to those skills, those are 3 skills you should have now.
Yeah.
For every job now. Those are not just to prepare you for 5-10 years. You need those jobs to be successful today, the skills to be successful today.
Yep.
You need high emotional intelligence. You need to be able to read people, whether it's in the office environment or even especially if you're working from home and you're doing Teams or, Google Meet, whatever, virtual meetings with folks. You need to have enough emotional intelligence to be able to read people.
Yes.
And know what's happening. And then absolutely to be able to collaborate because, I know some folks that really work better individually, and that's wonderful. It's a great thing, but it will limit you.
Yep.
And it's just, you have to be able to work with teams. We need each other.
Yeah.
We are built to need each other.
Yes.
And
we're built for community.
That's not going to change. Yeah. We're still built for community.
Yeah.
So, and then, learn quickly. That is, to your point about the fear part is, you don't ever want to get just stale in what you're doing. You don't want to plateau. You don't want to, you should want to learn. Like every teen, every young adult should say, oh, I want to learn. I don't know everything. That starts with being like, wait, I don't know everything. So what can I learn about this?
Yeah.
And back to the curiosity, you want to be endlessly curious.
Yeah. Complacency can really come in any stage of life. And I think that starts to stifle us. And when somebody should start to get a little too comfortable and, it's okay. It's also, I don't want to be the person that's saying, always have to, climb that ladder, but it's just, if you're feeling complacent, try to turn that around and go, where can I be curious? Like either about myself introspectively or others in my environment or things that are coming in my future. I think that my goal is to leave, kids and their families with that perspective. And I want to make sure too, that the message gets out there that I haven't done this perfectly myself as a parent.
Well, you're learning.
So I don't want anybody to have the impression that I have it all figured out. I don't.
No.
I've made all the same mistakes of high pressure my kids and, they come home and I'm like, how was that test? Without first connecting with them, or
how was your day?
So I'm in it with them. We're all figuring this out. My goal is I want to create a community that's just, we're doing things differently, that we're going to challenge the way that society is pushing our kids. And I'm not saying it's all wrong, but let's take a breath and say, does this align with me and my family? Is this what's best for my kid? And start asking a lot more questions rather than we're just following what everybody says we need to do. Check the boxes because A plus B plus C equals, a successful life.
Wow. Well, and there is no formula. That's the other piece is like that actually is another lie that just needs to be tossed out the window because there is no formula, for success in a specific career or a specific, it's everybody's journey is different. As you, I'm sure know by talking to folks, everyone has had a different path.
Yes.
And you talked a little bit about, just the importance of the students and their families really knowing themselves.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself on this journey? I mean, as we're on that topic, I want to go there. Yeah.
That's a great question. I mean, I'm constantly learning so much about myself. I always say that God gives us the children that we need.
Yes.
For like the ways that we need to grow. So even just being a mom, not even just in this part of my journey, has taught me so much. I mean, the first is just humility.
Yeah.
Like I don't have it all figured out.
It's so
good. Being able to say that, and I think it allows other people, including my own kids, to go, you don't have to have it figured out either. So I've learned the importance of humility and giving myself a little grace. We are so hard on ourselves too. And you brought up something about parents are wanting to do what's right for their children. And I want to make it clear, it's all well-intentioned.
It is all well-intentioned. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. It's not coming from a bad place. We want to help them succeed and maybe avoid some pitfalls that are hard, but it's got to be their process. But we've got to give ourselves some grace in that too. We're not going to do it perfectly. They're not going to do it perfectly. And I'm just constantly reminding myself when I am doing the coaching or I'm interviewing people and I'm learning all their pearls of wisdom, like that I want to stay curious. I want to be a person that's constantly learning, going, wait, tell me more. Wait, why did that happen that way? Or why was that important to you? I think that is a connection piece that is so critical. And so, I'm just reminded, I'd say those are some of the things I've been really have become more illuminated at this point in my life.
Have you noticed what I love about you saying that you've given yourself grace is that I believe that gives then your kids, students around you to give themselves grace.
Yep.
Have you seen that shift? Have you noticed some of that?
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, just a shift in language. And I've done some parenting coaching as well, some group coaching. And we talk about kind of the should language, how we can get away from you should do this, to more getting them to be involved in the process, or even the aspect of rejection. What do we think rejection of something for our kids means for us?
Yeah. Wow.
When it's really not about us.
That's so good.
So we've got to go back and heal those parts of ourselves that what is rejection meaning for you? And then taking yourself out of it, because then, you're walking into a space with your kids. You're so much more gracious because you're gracious with yourself.
Yep.
They get to give themselves a little bit of a landing space. They're not going to do it all perfectly. And I think that's when that connection, that relationship piece grows, even if the world around them is loud and fast and furious, telling them these are all the things they have to do to be successful.
I love that. I just love the grace that they see you giving is grace that then they're like, oh, it's okay. Almost like they can take a deep breath. It's okay. I can give myself grace. If mom's giving herself grace, if, my teachers are giving themselves grace, it's okay for me too. It's sort of that subconscious lesson that you make it okay for them to do that. And I think that's so beautiful.
Well, and I think another thing that I've learned as a parent, just not even specific to, careers and this place in my life, but is the importance of the revisit and the apology.
I was hoping you were going to dive into that. Honestly, I wasn't going to go there for you, but I'm so glad you did, because I thought that's so important in parenting. It's not something that a lot of previous generations learned or were taught to do.
Yeah.
It is something that I'm seeing a lot of, my friends who have kids start to do with their kids, certainly my sister and brother with their kids. And it's just a really beautiful thing. So talk about that a little bit, because I'm a huge proponent of that. I think that's incredible.
Yeah. And I think, in all fairness, past generations, they weren't shown that or taught that.
Exactly.
So, you learn more, you do better. But for me, and I'm not doing that perfectly either. I'm sure my kids will watch this and they'll be like, she doesn't always apologize.
But you're trying, and that's the important part.
You're aware of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, and also like sometimes it's not really best right in the heated moment.
Yeah.
You know, if you're having like a tough conversation or, you know, one of us are kind of wound up about something, a reminder to be like, let it cool down, but then sit across from them and like, they're a person.
Yeah.
Like, how are they feeling about this? And then I think what that's allowed is my kids have been able to see like, I'm just a broken person trying to figure it out too. So sitting across from them, and I think it's important you sit literally like across
in
from
the
them.
room. Yes.
Yeah. It's like intimate. You're on the, you know, you're not standing above them. It's like get in an equal space and a place of like mutual respect. Yeah. And I think I don't want people to lose their relationships with their kids in the midst of this pressurized society.
That's so good.
So these are some critical things that I'm hoping these messages just, you know, get louder and louder and kind of drown out a little bit of the other ones.
Well, and we're all people in progress.
Yes.
And so for you, and you said something about like, we're all broken people, you know, we've all been through broken situations. We are all people in progress that the Lord is redeeming and healing along the way. So talk to me a little bit about just how your faith has played into this and just how even just being in this season, whether it's with the podcast or the coaching, the career coaching, whichever one you want to go with, but how that's actually transformed for you, just your belief in the Lord too.
Yeah. Oh, you know, I'm in a place in my life where I'm having to just relinquish a lot of the idea of control.
Ooh, surrender. You're in the surrender. I know that place well.
Yeah. And I am a control freak, you know, and I've managed the kids. It's like, I love being the manager of the schedules and everything going just right. And I've often failed in the sense of being in the mindset that if I can do everything just right, then, you know, everybody will be safe and happy and well.
Oh, wow. That's so big.
And I have a daughter that's leaving in a couple of months to go to college.
Which is crazy.
It's wild and wonderful all at the same time. But talk about the Lord teaching me. Like, I literally hear him say, like, this is going to be your biggest test, to trust me.
Wow.
To lean in and say, this is not about you being able to, you know, make sure that they're safe and comfortable and happy all the time. You have to trust that I want just as much or more for them than you do. So yes, I'm learning it in my personal life, but I'm also learning it in the conversations I have with kids and their families. It's like, you know, it's really a falsehood that we can control so much, especially if you, and that's not a bad thing. If we can lean into that and say, well, we're lucky because we have this, we have like a faith that we can lean into. So it doesn't have to be about self. It can be about leaning into the one that has the perfect plan. That works all things for our good.
Yeah, which is so great.
Trusting in him more than all the things that I think I can control.
No, it's so good. My spiritual mother, Lisa Robertson, used to say, parenting is a constant exercise in letting go.
Oh, yes.
You know, you're letting go a little bit, you know, letting go of their hand. You're letting go of them. You know, we talked about with Rachel a few minutes before the show started of going from kindergarten to elementary school, that transition. And you've got one going from high school to college, and that's a massive transition. And it's just letting go. It's a constant lesson in letting go.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true. But it's the Lord will teach us that in different ways in our lives, you know, as I feel the type A-ness deep. Yeah. So I just get that and I feel it. And it's hard. I mean, I don't think it's easy. Surrender is hard for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's
trusting that like he's going to put that next plank in front of you. And the reason I use the analogy and imagery of a plank, I don't know if you've read Lisa Turkis' book, is it 1,000 Gifts?
Oh, I haven't read that one.
I think that's it was a long time ago, but it's essentially like a practice in gratitude.
I love that.
And she's so beautifully poetic. And But she gives this image of driving down like a bridge, and you're going, I don't know how steady this bridge is. It's old, it's rickety, it doesn't sound very well. Is it going to hold me up? And she's like, we are constantly like in that space of like, can I move forward? And she goes, sometimes all you got to do is look back and be reminded he laid every plank before me. Like looking ahead, I'm like paralyzed and scared. Well, if you look behind, every plank showed up. It was safe. It was just so secure. And so to me, that imagery pops up a lot in my parenting, and just this, I don't know, this theme and idea that I'm trying to get out for more people to embrace, that it's like, we got to trust our kids. We got to trust his plan. We've got to kind of take ourselves a little bit more out of it. So yeah, I love that imagery and try to share that.
Well, and even in the Bible, it'll show Ebenezer stones. I mean, there are stones of remembrance. I mean, over and over again in the Bible. And that's the first thing that came to my mind when you were talking about that is you have to look back at some point at how far you've come.
Yeah.
And what the Lord has done, how faithful he's been, so that you have faith for how faithful he's going to be.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important, just to go along with that. I think that's so, so important. And like you said, to take ourselves out of it, I can only imagine, but like that's got to be so hard to do as a parent.
Yeah, it is. Parenting's the greatest lesson. It's the greatest like mirror and self-reflection of like, oh, what's coming up for me, and it's not always about me.
Yeah.
It's this, dance that you're doing. You want to raise these wonderfully independent, bright and driven and excited, these people, you want them to be all they can be, but it's not always about us driving that ship. So you're trying to figure out, when they're younger, there's a little bit more involvement. And as they grow and grow, as you said, it's constant letting go. And so it's kind of a dance you have to figure out. But if the more we can, I think, incorporate our kids into each stage and just kind of think, where are they coming from in this? What are their thoughts? How are they feeling? I'm not saying don't parent. I'm just saying like involve them.
Yeah.
That you're just, I think the relationships that we're building, as they're going through adolescence can be, I think, healthier.
Well, what I hear you say is like, don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
It's kind of just don't assume that what works for you is going to work for them.
Yep.
Don't assume that what you see for them is what they see for them.
Yeah.
In terms of path or journey or career or just even what they're good at.
Yeah.
You may see something that a child is really good at that they don't see in themselves yet.
Yes.
And you can't force that. You can't, that gets into striving, that gets into, they'll push back heavy on that. And so I just think it's so wise. I mean, to hear you kind of processing through this. Did you think, doing the, working in the medical field for 25 years, I think you said. So 2 decades. And then going into doing some of the coaching, doing the podcast. Did you ever just think that would be your journey?
No, it's interesting. I mean, I got a degree in psychology because I love human behavior. And so the kind of invisible thread that I've seen through all of that, and I still enjoy having my career and being able to be a part of that, and now incorporating some of these elements, is that I am curious, like what makes people tick, what's important to them and why, whether I'm in sales or I'm coaching somebody, or I'm digging into somebody's story on a podcast. So no, I mean, I don't think asked me even 2 years ago if I would have thought, and no, not at all. And, quite honestly, a couple of years ago, I was more in a kind of depressive state because I felt like, I was watching my kids get older and I was like, what else is out there? And I had some incredible women come alongside me in a coaching group that were able to kind of remind me of, well, this is who you are. It doesn't have to stop now. You can still be that person and weave it into other exciting, new things in your life.
I love that. And it's so important to have that community around you. I mean, for your kids, but also for you.
Yes.
Just to come in and say, okay, people that can remind you who you are, people that can remind you, yes, you can do this and do this, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be either or. So what's, thinking about all that you're already into right now, what are you dreaming for? What are you kind of hoping for? You know, where are the new possibilities for Cassie's life?
You know, it's funny, I talk about, you know, letting yourself be curious and kind of think big. And it's funny how easily we put those limits on ourselves.
Yes.
I'll talk to kids.
Why would you do this?
You can do, sure, let's go this path. They think big. So it is funny to think like, what's next? Because I'm in a space that I'm thoroughly enjoying. I'm grateful for a great job. I'm grateful that I'm getting to really love into a lot of kids and learn from other people on the podcast. I mean, if I was, you know, letting myself kind of go, I want this to have more impact. That's definitely, if I'm saying what's the next thing that I'm focused on, like how do I get this message and this platform to more people so more parents and kids feel supported and are using the same type of language.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, how do I grow that? You know, I see myself, maybe I can be doing things at schools. So I'm reaching more kids on a broader scope. So it's not just one-on-one. You know, trying to figure out the workbook that I've created, like how do I get in the hands of more people? Because there's only one of me and so much time. And I want the messages and the tools to be out there for others. So for me, it's like, yeah, how am I going to expand that? But right now I'm in an exciting, fun place. And I also love the people that are surrounding me, including like, you know, being with Rachel and the people that are so empowering and, you know, encouraging.
Yes.
So yeah, hopefully the platform and the messaging grows. I want it to grow authentically though.
For sure.
With intentionality. For sure. Like, not just for the sake of growing.
No.
I'm not interested in like, I don't need the likes and the follows for the sake of saying that I have that. I want it to be because somebody connected to what they're hearing me say and that they're saying, oh, those are really helpful tools. And I relate to this mom.
And they need it. You know, they want them to relate to it and say like, oh, wait, I needed this. I needed somebody to tell me this piece that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I think that's hugely important. I love that. I mean, I think those are beautiful dreams and beautiful desires. And to be able to say, yeah, I do. I see the impact that this has already had so far. And I want more people to be helped.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just what it comes down to. Was there a moment for you in this that you looked at it and you were like, I don't know if this is possible. Like, I don't know.
All the time.
Honestly, people can say, and you said in the beginning, I don't have it all together, but people can still look at this, watch this, listen to this and think, oh, she's got it figured out. So yeah, what were maybe an example or two of that impossible moment for you of like, am I even going to do this? Like, what is this?
I mean, when I say all the time, it's because that self-doubt comes in and you think, you know, how can I get from here to there? And certainly when you think, I started, you know, a podcast in, you know, my back house and it was fun. And then I never dreamed that it's like, oh, wait, I could be in this type of a platform. I think a big part of that is, I guess, seeing like certain people come into your life for certain reasons. And so that was kind of the part of helping me overcome it. It was other people's belief that this was possible. Because the self-doubt in myself is still very loud. There's days I'm like, why am I doing this? Who do I think I am? How am I going to get all this done? You know, it's a constant battle, but I remind myself, I'm like, God put this in my heart. And I believe that wholeheartedly, that there's a purpose in this.
Oh, completely.
There are people that will be able to grow and learn from this. So I'm like, okay, if I believe that the purpose behind it is bigger than my own insecurities or fear, then it is possible.
Well, and it's so true just to be able to say like, what I think of when I think of your show and just what in your work in general, what you're doing right now, is that it really brings freedom to people.
Yes.
And I think that the tools are wonderful, the workbook's wonderful, all of that it's great. But what I think is so important about your message is that it actually brings freedom to parents, that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to carve out this course for your children. It actually is bringing so much, breaking off so many things that they've put on themselves that they never had to carry.
Yeah.
You know, they were carrying this baggage of, oh, I've got to help my kid figure this out. I've got to figure it out for them. So they have a journey and they have a path and they're okay. And it's like, actually you don't. And there's so much freedom in knowing that it's going to be okay and you don't have to make it okay.
And I think I sometimes probably take for granted a little bit the fact that I'm lucky I do have a relationship with Christ. So it might be a little bit easier for those of us that can lean into our faith to go, hey, I can trust in something bigger, so I don't have to be behind the wheel all the time. I'm also not trying to put the message out that parents have to be completely hands off.
Yeah, no.
It's just the approach. And again, it's the bringing the kids into it and saying, what do you love? What lights you up? What gets you excited? And because that becomes the driver. And in all the work that I do, I really try to get down to, and this is not like a new concept by any means, but like, what is the reason why? That's one of the best questions you can ask anybody, really. But when I give this example of a child I was coaching, and he started off saying, I think I want to study poli-sci. I was like, okay, why? He's like, well, I just think there's some things that need to be changed in the world. I'm like, okay, well, tell me a little bit more. Like, why does that bother you? And what about it bothers you? And we went further and further and further down. And he came to this space of saying, I don't feel like women have enough voice in this world.
Wow.
And I swear, every time I say it, I get chills.
Powerful.
But it was just so interesting to see that by narrowing it down with those types of genuinely curious questions, let's get further, let's think deeper. Because then I looked at him and said, that's what's going to push you forward when you're in college and you're taking the hard courses and you're like, why am I doing this? Or you have a bad boss or a teacher you don't like. If you go back to what matters to you, why does it matter to you? Then they gain the confidence of going, okay, I can keep walking forward. It's not all going to be easy, but they're connected to that.
I love that. Well, and I love that at the root of the poli-sci desire was actually, I don't feel like women have enough of a voice. I mean, that is a heart posture. I mean, that is a core, I don't want to say core belief, but a core passion.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. And that will drive whether it ends up in poli-sci or international relations or something, whatever field, it'll be that piece that'll drive that. And I think that's fantastic to be able to get down to that. And I even just was thinking about how, little kids, when they're first kind of just learning the world, one of the questions they ask all the time is why. You'll be like, oh, I'm doing this. And it's like, why? And you hear parents be like, because I said so, stop asking. Just stop asking. But I just love that you're kind of turning that on its head and you're saying, okay, as adults, let's start asking again. Let's start asking why. Let's continue with that childlike faith of why. What are we going to do? How, instead of just letting things be blockers for us, say, why do you care about that? Why do you want to lean into this for your kids? What is it about that that's really the driver? And asking the students and the young adults to be kids again in that thought process of like, where it's been maybe shut down when they were younger, kind of saying, actually, no, why? And getting back into that, which I think is wonderful for all of us. I know.
Yeah. I've said that, my hope is a lot of the skills that they're learning of how to be introspective and ask a lot of deeper questions. I'm like, that's something that I hope they carry through their lifetime. That now they have the ability to slow down and go, wait, what matters to me? Why is this impactful? Who does this matter to? Like, you put all those pieces together. I'm hoping that these are just more of like life skills that they can incorporate at different times throughout their life, not just when they're trying to figure out their first career step.
It's an unlearning and a relearning. And I love that, because the relearning piece is, how do I feel? Like checking in with yourself. How do I feel about this? Why do I feel that way? Kind of doing that introspection, but also, like you were saying, what do I love? What lights me up? What's a passion? And really leaning into and knowing it's actually for their benefit to lean into the things that they're passionate about. Like that's actually where they're going to excel. Instead of trying to avoid those things because it might not be the safe route or the accepted route. It's like, no, actually that's what you're gifted for. So I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, Kasi, tell me, for folks who want to get in touch with you, because I know people are going to watch this and listen to this and want to reach out to you, what's the best way? How can they reach you?
Well, thank you. So my website is careerquestinc.com. They can find lots of things about what I'm working on and more about who I am. My Instagram handle is Soulful Career Calling, which is tie into my podcast.
I was gonna say, also the podcast.
So those are really kind of, the two ways that they can reach out and just kind of see what I'm all about and get in touch with me there.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. And thank you so much for being on the show. I have loved having you here today. It's just been such a joy, and I've learned so much. I have a little gift for you. I had written and published 2 books, but the first one was Fighting for Joy in the in-between. And I did not know when we came in today that your daughter was going to be graduating. But as you're in the in-between of that.
Okay, you're going to make me cry now.
As you're in the in-between of that, I just felt like that was something that you needed today. So it's a devotional for women, and it is all about when you're seeing something and you're not there yet, and just how you work through that. Lay things down, pick things up, war for things in the spirit, and really be in the joy and the peace. And the joy and the dancing when it's not there yet. So when you're in that in between and it's coming, but it's not there, just really how you can walk through holding that promise and really, I think it's going to be a beautiful time for you for that season. So that's for you and the Lord to go through together.
This is in a perfectly appropriate time. So thank you so much.
I was like, I just felt that, as I walked out my apartment today, I was like, I need to bring this to her. I need to bring her a copy of this. So so there you go. But I've loved having you on the show today. I would love to have you back just as you're diving even more and more. I think you've got so many insights for our listeners and our viewers. It's going to be incredible. So I'm excited for you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all so much for joining us today on this episode of Redefining Possible. Again, I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman. Can't wait to see you next time. What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God.